Imagine losing all of your rights even though you did nothing wrong. Someone you did not choose is given control over your person and property, making you a modern-day slave.
Help me.
You may even be taken from your home and hidden away from loved ones,
Where am I?
while your assets are pillaged. Everything is made legal through a judge's signature. You might as well be in prison because you can't get out. If your family fights to defend you, they are defamed and sanctioned. No governmental agency will help because it's approved by a shadow justice system.
I want my family.
The probate court. It's all under the guise of protecting you. Reality as you know it is gone. A team of attorneys, examiners, and other court insiders have created an alternate reality that becomes the new truth. But it is all based on lies. It is the deception of protection. Guardianship laws intended to protect the vulnerable are used to entrap unsuspecting people to control their property. This is America. It sounds bizarre, but it's happening to my aunt right now in Florida and the many families and victims I've met over the past 8 years.
I'm Lynn Saylor from St. Pete, Florida. I'm here for my mother who passed away in 2012 that was abused by the probate guardianship system.
My name's Tim Reed. I live in Boca Raton. My mother was put into a guardianship 3 years ago against her will and secretly. Since that time, lawyers have plundered her estate, and now they've just kicked her out of her house, trying to sell her home in order to pay attorney fees. They're not here to protect elders, they're here to plunder elders.
I'm here from Massachusetts. Our mother died in this December 2016 under the guardianship. The worst thing that happened to our mother was the abuse of isolation. No guardian should come between us and our loved one.
My name is Roger Hillegas. My mother is Susan Hillegas. She is being kept locked in a facility in Reno, Nevada. I was her power of attorney and I was her trustee. The corrupt equity courts, the family courts, have taken jurisdiction over my mother, and I'm being restricted from caring for her, which I had done for 3 years. So I believe that her civil rights are being violated, and these corrupt courts need to be stopped.
I'm Marla Zahn. I'm from Wisconsin. My mother was declared incompetent when she was 99 years of age. There were no court hearings to prove that Louise had incapacity. Judge Sandy Williams just declared her incompetent without a jury trial or any documents indicating such.
I'm Alan from St. Petersburg, Florida, and I'm here trying to prevent any other families from having to go through what my family did when my mother-in-law was put under guardianship. It's really, really horrible how the courts ignore advance directives and allow them to be isolated from families and have their estates just displaced and sucked up by attorneys that are just doing it for greed.
I just saw the article in the New Yorker, and that scared the Jesus out of me. And I realized I'm a potential victim.
Florida, Nevada, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, different states, similar patterns. Could all of these families be crazy? Or could the adult guardianship system be broken? In a guardianship, the court gives one person or entity the duty and power to control the person and/or property decisions of another person. The intention is to protect their assets from misuse. In the United States, it is estimated that 1.5 million adults have guardians who control $273 billion in assets. The Government Accountability Office identified hundreds of allegations of physical abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation by guardians, but they don't know the full extent of abuse due to limited data. The U.S. has 75 million baby boomers, 10,000 of which reach retirement age every day. We're entering the biggest generational wealth transfer ever, $68 trillion over the next 25 years. This could be a windfall for rogue guardians, causing a disaster for families and charities counting on those planned donations. If you own a home or have any assets, you could be a target. Two of the top advocates in the country, Rick Black and Dr. Sam Sugar, explain.
If it's involuntary, it's fraudulent. If you don't want the guardianship, your loved one, and it can be a spouse, a parent, a child. We've got many kids that as soon as they turn 18, the lawyers come grab them. Most people who get placed into guardianship are over 75 years old. The average 75-year-old in this country today has a net worth of $300,000. So I walk you in this courtroom and there's $300,000 sitting in the middle of the floor. Now, everybody in that courtroom who comes and works every day in that courtroom and knows that judge extremely well, they know the only way they get to touch that pot of gold is if Kirk gets put into guardianship.
Incapacity has nothing to do with a medical diagnosis. Nothing. It is a legal status. And that's where everybody gets confused. What do you say she's incapacitated? She balances her checkbook, she writes algorithms, she codes. All it is an excuse to apply the legalistic term of incapacitated to a person who is doing just fine in society.
So what is the anatomy of an involuntary guardianship? The process involves 3 phases. The first is instigate. A petitioner files to declare you incapacitated. In most states, anyone can petition. There is no due diligence on the motive or allegations. Fraudulent statements are routinely put forth. There is also no attempt to find interested parties like family. Suddenly, you have a court-appointed attorney and you are an alleged incapacitated person. Next is evaluate. An examining committee of usually 3 people is appointed from a court-approved list. They are commonly not experts in neuroscience or aging. The MD could be a gynecologist determining that you have dementia because you did not know the exact amount of your mortgage. The evaluation criteria is subjective, and it's easier to take away all rights than to have to defend the removal of 1 or 2. Finally, adjudicate. The judge makes the capacity determination sometimes without meeting you. In a court of equity, there's usually no jury, due process, or rules of evidence, and everything is often kept quiet with closed hearings and sealed records. Based on the evaluator's report, a judge appoints a limited or plenary guardian. You are now a ward. Everyone's fees are paid from your assets. The judge can take away rights such as to marry, vote, drive, sue, contract, manage money, decide where to live, and even to choose with whom to socialize. With a court order, the guardian can also commit you to an institution, file for divorce, and consent to experiments, sterilization, abortion, and termination of parental rights. Just about anyone can become a guardian. There is no formal education or licensing. With 40 hours of training, a guardian can charge $85 or more an hour, upwards of $200 to $500 an hour if the guardian is an attorney. There may be some professional guardians out there that legitimately help, like in the Brooke Astor case. But guardianship by design is oppressive. It removes self-determination and all fundamental rights, rendering you a non-person. Former Congressman Claude Pepper famously said, "The typical ward has fewer rights than the typical convicted felon. It is the most punitive civil penalty that can be levied against an American citizen, with the exception, of course, of the death penalty." If you have a rogue guardian, there are often 3 key actions used to fully take over your estate. The first is isolate. The guardian sequesters you in an institution. Your home is fraudulently deemed unsafe, and you may be medicated with psychotropic drugs to mimic dementia. You could even be hidden entirely from your legitimate family and told they have abandoned you. It is psychological torture. Next, eliminate. The team gets rid of anyone fighting to defend you. The judge may remove your selected person and their interested party status so they have no standing in court. Bifurcate the docket so your defenders can't see or question what is going on. use defamation, stay away and gag orders, as well as drain funds with sanctions and appeals that could cost $50,000 each. Finally, the end game. The judge approves excessive billing and liquidation. All the players take unnecessary actions and create conflicts to increase billing. One motion may cost you $2,000. In the name of protecting you, the guardian liquidates all of your assets to pay everyone's fees. There is no real oversight on accounting, and even your estate plan can be voided. The result is total entrapment. The legal system is being used as a weapon against you, and you're literally paying for it. Your estate becomes a cash cow. There is a whole ecosystem supporting the exploitation, ensuring the desired incapacity results, appointments, and court orders. The guardian may hire professionals and change procurement of things like medical supplies to partners. According to advocates, the predators have spotters, lawyers, doctors, nurses, social workers, home health aides, bank managers, and others who are induced to refer people into the system.
The evidence that comes into us through the calls really helps us profile how the more proactive guardians and attorneys are really working in this industry. We call them hotspots. Palm Beach is a hot spot. The Bay Area is a hot spot here in Florida. Rhode Island's a hot spot. Michigan is a hot spot, namely
Nevada,
Detroit,
Colorado,
Las Vegas, Seattle, Washington. In those hot spots, what you're seeing today is these attorneys form alliances with the attorneys of the major hospitals. You give me a document, oftentimes a fraudulent document, and I will take it to the court and get guardianship over that individual, and you'll get a kickback.
This is organized crime sanctioned by the court. There is a pattern and practice of collusion and corruption. Many states require least restrictive guardianship options, but that rarely happens. The system is too lucrative and entrenched.
The average litigation on an involuntary guardianship will cost the family about $250,000 a year.
These lawyers never lose. No matter who you hire, they will either be co-opted or work against you or not try very hard. I think we can all say that.
I would agree.
The judge will retaliate against you, which we agree about that.
Yes.
And they retaliate in the worst ways. One of them is stay away orders.
Right.
Meaning, I'm going to arrest you if you try to see your mother. I'm going to put you in jail if you show up at that nursing home one more time. It's a death sentence for the ward, and it's a life sentence for anyone who cares about it.
What can you do to actually protect yourself? Here are 4 preemptive measures. Be informed. Know this is real. Build a trusted team of advisors who understand the process. Look out for phrases such as imminent danger. Recognize red flags, like someone blocking access to a loved one or trying to convince you that an emergency temporary guardian can help. There will be nothing temporary about it. Minimize known risks. Take care of your health. Recognize your zip code is a risk factor, so choose your retirement location carefully. Settle family dysfunction now to avoid court later. And beware of lawyers who instigate a family dispute when there isn't one. Strengthen your estate plan. Consider a revocable living trust and be sure you trust the successor trustee. Refine advance directives, refusing a public or professional guardian, and naming at least 6 pre-need people who you approve for supported decision-making. Review your last will and testament, durable power of attorney, and healthcare proxy, but know all of these can be voided. Put your money in a joint account with a right of survivorship. Leverage technology. Video your estate plan wishes and process. Keep your cell phone handy to record anything that seems out of the ordinary. Embed cameras in your home and use tracking devices for you and loved ones. If you get entrapped, here are 4 survival tactics. Go on the offensive. Demand to be appointed representative payee for your loved one's Social Security before the guardian seizes it. Challenge everything from day one, particularly jurisdiction, and be ready to put forth an alternative to guardianship. Declare the proceedings adversarial and demand a jury trial right at the start. The judge is likely to deny it, but go for it anyway. Avoid a settlement conference and mediation. The deck will be stacked against you. File to recuse the judge if you feel you can't get a fair trial, and appeal key decisions within the required time frame. Keep good records. Have a notebook detailing conversations and leave a paper trail of follow-up emails. Pay for your own court reporter for hearings. Gather evidence on questionable activities. File a report with law enforcement if your loved one is taken or for other offenses. Have eyes wide open. Trust no one in the system, including those hired by the attorneys and guardian. Keep an eye on your own attorney to make sure he or she remains on your side. Continue to leverage technology, and most of all, trust your gut. Finally, speak up and reach out. Let friends, family, and neighbors know what's going on, and memorize at least 2 phone numbers in case you're put in jail. Make noise via social media, PR, and politicians. Practice stress management techniques to build resilience. Reach out for social and psychological support. Many families and victims experience PTSD from the legal abuse.
You want to keep your loved ones close, like in the house with you, because that's really the only place where you can protect them. Even with them in your home, as Terry saw, they can come get them. The only people I've ever been able to save was because of 2 things. One, their loved one was brave enough to go into the facility to lift their loved one out and take them to a different state. The other, about 42 of that 50, only were freed because I got the media involved, and it became so obvious what these judges were doing were wrong to the citizenry that the county commissioners, and those are the people that oversee the court management process, their phones were ringing off the hook.
There are equity courts in this country that used to be slave courts that haven't forgotten that they're slave courts, that engage in what is tantamount to human trafficking. We are innocent people who fall into their clutches. I believe firmly that what I knew to be America growing up is no longer America. I don't know what it is, but I know that I can't depend on the courts for a fair shake.
The victims are people who did everything right to achieve the American dream. Worked hard, saved, invested, sacrificed to enjoy their winter years with their family. Don't be deceived. Your father, mother, sister, brother, you could be a victim. My aunt, the matriarch of our family, has been sequestered away for over 1,000 days, almost 3 years. It's unthinkable. We cannot regain that time, and we don't know what medication they've given her. Once you're in, it's almost impossible to get out. The target often dies mysteriously or is left penniless. It is a vicious human rights violation. In his I Have a Dream speech, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke of security of justice. Unfortunately, there is no security of justice in the adult guardianship system, so you must protect yourself. Advocates are calling for the good people, the good judges, attorneys, guardians, facility directors, citizens, anyone with a platform to speak up, and for the prosecutors to step up. As Edmund Burke said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. To be an elder is a privilege, not a condition causing you to be tossed aside and abused. If we're lucky, each of us will get old. Our elders have the right to be protected and respected. Let's create a society where we can all age with dignity.